Here we are. Welcome back to the Elevated Podcast. We are here with Mark Gallo and Min Egidio with Alpha Graphics, and we're really looking forward to a great conversation, so let's get started. So tell us just real quick a little bit about your current company and your journey.
Yeah, so Alpha Graphics is the name of my current company. I now own 2 different locations, and it started off, my entrepreneur journey started about 10 years ago, and it wasn't something that I sought after. It just life happened, and it found me, and I'm super glad that it did. I was, went to school, graduated, and working in kind of like the corporate finance life, planning probably to climb up the corporate ladder, become a CPA, and do that. And then...
so that's your formal training?
So that happened very, very young. So I graduated, I was 21, right? And then went into work right away, worked only a couple years, and then I got married, had my first child, and then that's when it all changed. I wanted to prove to myself that I could be a stay-at-home mom and be present in my kid's life, really. And so I had the really good opportunity to stay home. And I did it for 2 weeks, and then I realized... This is not for me. I can't do this. This is not for me.
Right.
So,
just bored? Simple boredom or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved my daughter, obviously, but I couldn't do it. And I felt like I was trapped. I felt like I wasn't making a difference in her life, my life, or everybody else's life. And it was suffocating for me. And I think a lot of women go through that. I think that's a normal feeling, but then it's like the guilt people, and then people just stay and continue to do it even if you're not happy.
I mean, isn't it our job as a parent to really show and showcase our best foot? We want to be able to give them our true selves, and because they have half our genetics, right? I mean, so it's like there's some of that in them, and you want to be able to really showcase that the best you can. No, for sure.
And you want to be a good role model, but what do infants know at role model? Like, she's not,
they know everything.
Right? So it was more for me and my mental health.
Which is important, to be that role model, right? If you're miserable, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
And they'll catch on real quick.
Yeah, so my journey, started at that time, and I loved the company I was working for. It was a biotech firm on Sereno Valley, and, at the time they weren't offering part-time, and I just wasn't willing to go back full-time and be locked down 9 to 5. I knew that, but I knew that I wanted to do something. So my husband is, really involved in youth sports, and the trophy vendor that he was using for years wanted to retire. And they talked and said, hey, John, I think you'd be great. Like, you already have all the connections. Do you want to buy this and take it over? So he brought it home to me one day casually. He's like, do you want to own a trophy shop instead? And I was like, no. Like, what is that? Why would I do that? I don't even know what that is. And so, long story short, I, walked through. My baby was 3 months old.
What year are we talking here?
2017.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, 2017. And we signed the contract, and the thing that incubated everything really for me was the personal aspect of things. I walked in not knowing anything about the business or how to really functionally run a business, and I felt really warm. The guy that was retiring, I knew of him. We weren't close. I just believed that he'd teach me everything I needed to know. And I wasn't intimidated by all the machinery around. It was a small operation, right? And so I was like, sure, I'll do it.
What fascinates me about this, though, is, typically it's when you're not interested in a specific topic, right?
Yeah.
It makes it maybe a little more difficult to dive into. And miraculously, you're like, I only win trophies. I don't know what how to make one. Like, so how did you maybe adjust your mentality to really start? Was it just more about the entrepreneurship and ownership of a business, or where did the shift happen for you?
It really wasn't any of that. I think for me it was survival mode. I knew I didn't want to stay home and be a stay-at-home mom.
So it could have been
anything. Me crazy. It could have been anything, right? You hear all these entrepreneurs like, I want to fix this problem that I have, and then they launch a company that solves people's pain points.
Yeah.
For me, I think the pain point that it was trying to solve was my sanity at the time, and it was it hit home for me because, I grew up, pretty rough and, through the poverty line, all that stuff, and it was just like a fight or flight moment for me. And it was better than being locked in and having to be on someone else's schedule. Because what convinced me was it was really low risk. It was an educated risk. But we, at that time in our lives, it was a lot of risk because that was the money that we saved up to buy our first home, to create this family that we're trying to build. But instead of that, I remember we started this venture. That was almost 10 years ago.
Well, from what I know about you, I mean, and we'll get into it, there's a lot of businesses. But so that seems to me where you may have started, whether it was by accident or not. I know that mine was started by accident, but your entrepreneurial journey, right? Where you got this business and then said, hey, this is pretty interesting. Like, I like what I'm doing. I'm doing something different.
Yeah.
It is for survival, but from what I understand, you began to really like it, and then maybe even moved into other types of businesses. But
so I think for me it was like very fragmented. At that point, I needed to find something to do, and I didn't want to go back to work. So
need a new passion.
We did that. Yeah. So we took a risk and did that. But it was very it was a smart risk because we knew like right off the bat we could double in size and we could do it. I quickly in about I bought this business, mind you, to be home with my kids.
Sure.
Right? With my daughter. I was never home because I was always working.
Yeah.
And it was no freedom. There was no freedom because there were no employees. And I did everything myself. I was there when I created the invoices and then I run the jobs and they come back for the customers to pick up. I would make deliveries. I would be up there. I till 1 a.m. building trophies. It was a really eye-opening time for me. So I quickly realized, wait a minute, I didn't buy a business because I don't really even know what that means. What I did was I bought a job for myself, right? And money was great. I mean, because there were no employees, no payroll costs, no benefit, and nothing, none of that stuff. Then I realized this is not what I want to do, right? Like if I wanted to have a job, I could be way stress-free. I could go on PTO. I could, be like, hey, I'm out.
You can call sick for a day.
I'm sick.
Yeah.
It was a quickly eye-opening journey. And then right around that time, it's after COVID. So I did it for myself, by myself for about 2 to 3 years. Just testing my boundaries, grit, passion, perseverance. And then, so I had my second child. So when I had Chloe, my first daughter, I was employed. So I took the 16 weeks paid time off, just enjoying my life. When I had Madison, my second daughter, I kid you not, I gave birth and then I was back in that office the next day because there were jobs that needed to be done, and customers don't care. Due dates are due dates, right? Like they're like,
they have an awards banquet.
Exactly.
They're like, congrats on your kid. Where's my trophy?
Yeah, I wasn't there for 8 hours all day on my feet, but I was back, and it was a really, really crazy time. And then quickly after that, I found EO, and a friend of mine referred me to it, and that's when I started learning about you don't know the things you don't know, right? So you don't know how a business is supposed to be ran.
Scaling.
Yeah, scaling. What is that?
Yeah. What is a KPI? What is
hire people.
None of us knew it. Right? None of it. We all learn it.
Yeah. And I for me, I think it was, my survival skills, and I'm pretty good at staying organized and staying the process stuff. I like it, but I didn't know that those are things that took what it took to become a successful business owner.
One of the things, and again, I had one of the unique pleasures of working with you early on in your journey, and I was always constantly impressed with your ability to problem solve.
Yeah.
You've got a brain that is able to kind of segment things and then come up with a really good solution. And I think the way that you've been able to problem solve through your original business, and then more importantly, how to methodically get into your next level,
right,
was amazing to me.
Yeah, I think you were around when I was saying I'm going to buy this business.
We sat down and hashed out the numbers and figured things out. No, it was fantastic.
That's right.
Yeah.
And really, EO is where I've found myself wanting to do bigger things, right? it's possible, and it doesn't have to be this hard or a different kind of hard, right?
Yeah.
And that's when I found Alpha Graphics, which is a franchise. There's so much throughout my journey that I've learned, and dipping my toes into a franchise is totally
Give me some quick timelines if you don't mind.
Yeah,
so
okay.
so the trophies from 2017
to current. I still own that company today.
Got it.
Alpha Graphics was August 2023.
Okay, wait. You still own the trophy company today. Let's just talk. Because I do know, and again, you have multiple businesses, and I do feel that EO probably played a role in that growth, because I know it did for me, I'll agree with critical thinking. I seem to find amongst the whole crew of EO people, right? It's people that can adapt and move on their feet quickly. And from what I've known about you, Min, you seem to do exactly that. So how is the trophy business doing? And then you went to Alpha Graphics. You just said 2 years later, or
2023. So
oh, 20. Oh, shoot.
New.
20, I thought you said 2020.
I've been a part of that network for about 2.5 years now.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. It took. I subtract 2 years because the event industry that we're in, how awards are tied to all the events, it just froze and it just stopped in 2020.
Oh, that makes sense.
So there was a little bit of setback, and actually in between that time I dabbled in desserts and ice cream. So I had 2 locations of that too. So I'm sorry, timeline. Going back to timelines.
I love desserts and ice cream.
Yeah.
2017, trophy shop. 2019, opened my first boba and waffles and ice cream shop.
Okay.
2020, opened my second location.
Got it.
21, sold that second location.
Okay.
Then 2022, sold the first location of the boba shop. And then 23, bought Alpha Graphics. So I was buying, selling, and then I was like, I'm out. I'm done with that industry. The food, it was hard. It was
done with the food industry.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And then I doubled down kind of into this like tangible marketing, visual communication is what I call it. So now we cover everything from, if a company needs like promo or print sign, vehicle wrapped, and then awards for their banquets, we cover a lot of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, what made you? Okay, I have to ask because again, I feel as if many of the EOers that we know, they excel at something specific and stick in that lane, right? If they're real estate, commercial, whatever, they're not opening a boba shop.
Yeah.
Right? So how did you choose those various industries? What made you go those directions?
I think I went a little crazy. I got a little taste of being my own boss at All Time Awards is the trophy company. And then I just wanted to try something quote unquote easy.
Yeah.
And at that time,
so you thought?
Yes, exactly. So at that time, it was like self-serve yogurt, right?
Yeah.
Like self-serve yogurt, like low employees, just refill the thing. Turns out it's not easy. Turns out frozen foods and powders and ice cream is the same amount of work as a full-service restaurant, in my opinion. Like, yes and no, but I learned quickly the hard way. And the one constant along through my journey for 10 years doing this is that I've always had good people around me and willing to help. I've been really fortunate in that way. So I've been able to dabble in a lot of things. And like Mark said, I just problem solving when it's clear to me if it's the wrong decision, I'm just going to stop it. I think people...
Man, I wish I had that sensibility.
Yeah, you kind of linger, you try, you pour your energy. For me, it's like if it's a no, it's a no. And it's not an ego thing for me. Like I tried it doesn't work. Pacific Beach, the boba place I opened there, I knew in about 10 months it's not going to work. And I just...
And why? What happened?
So Rancho Penasquitos is my first boba location. And as a young entrepreneur, what I thought was you can really copy and paste this and grow, right?
Right.
Turns out...
There's your scale that you were looking for.
Right. And so my vision for that initially was like have 3 locations and have one manager run it. The timing wasn't great. COVID, it was right in the height of COVID. Turns out you can't copy an ice cream for my location. You can't take a business in the suburbs, copy and paste it in high foot traffic beach town, and expect the same numbers. What I mean by that is if somebody comes in after school, so Rancho Penasquitos, super suburbs, mom comes in with two kids, 3 kids, they're spending at least $30 one ticket. Pacific Beach, it was like people on vacation, high foot traffic for sure, people were on vacation buying, like young teenagers come in and buying $5 drinks and taking it to the beach. Kind of health conscious too sometimes.
Yeah.
And then you get the bar crowd after nighttime, but then you don't want, your employees are 18, 19 years old. You don't want them staying out until 2 a.m. and closing and interacting with that kind of. So it wasn't, the menu was the same, the recipes were the same, but it wasn't the same business. And I've learned that. It took me 10 months to learn that. And sure, I could have probably made some changes and continued to ride that journey, but I knew like this is not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of people don't realize that the market shifts based on your location.
Exactly.
And their wants and needs completely shift, and sometimes that scale becomes really difficult.
Exactly.
When you don't understand that you're serving X person here and Y person there.
Right.
Again, it goes back to her ability
to pivot.
That was one of the things I was so impressed with initially on with her, was very like, listen, here's a problem, here's a solution, let's move on. And that was one of like, wow, okay, it was just really refreshing.
And that is an art form, by the way.
Yeah.
The ability to just bail.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or
Very
change.
very Marcus Lemonis.
Exactly. Just
I
go,
love
hey.
him so much.
Yeah. And so that's honestly, that's a talent I don't think I would like to get better at myself.
Yeah.
That ability, because you become invested in something.
Yeah.
And you're like, I have to make this work. So your better is to just go, no. And move on.
Yeah.
So you ended that, and Alpha Graphics, obviously 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually worked with Alpha Graphics before.
Okay.
I've had good experiences with Alpha
Okay.
Graphics. And tell me where we're at with that today.
Yeah, so Alpha Graphics started because when I decided I'm going to stop the boba stuff and kind of double down into this branding, right? What I realized was that I was always saying no. Like, people will come to me for trophies and say, hey, do you also do banners? Do you do jerseys? Do you do apparel? And I'd say no, but there is this guy who does. Like, go over here, he'll take care of you. And I was like, so why don't we just buy a print shop? Why don't we just go lateral and do that? And so, we found it. At first, the post that we saw online, we didn't know that it was a franchise. And then once we start, looking into it, turned out it was. And the franchise world, they flew us out to Colorado, is where the home base is, did a discovery day, because as a franchise, they have to accept you as well. It's kind of like a process where they feel like you're a good owner, qualified. And so that was great. And it was just the same feeling that I had when I first walked into the trophy shop 10 years ago. I just liked the people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a different feel, obviously, because they're corporate. There's a headquarters. There's a corporate team that helps you. It wasn't just one owner walking me through a shop. But that feeling of, like, I would want to go out to dinner with these guys and hang out. Like, that camaraderie is probably what sealed the deal for me, because I was skeptical about a franchise. The last thing an entrepreneur wants to do is, be put in a box and be like, you got to play in here, right? Because that's the stigma that franchises have.
Of course.
But maybe it's the industry where it's a custom industry, paper, print, everything is so custom that, if we do have a box, it's wide. I feel like I am the owner of this company, and I don't really get direction from franchise.
You're not making sandwiches.
Yeah. We're not selling. Yeah, we don't have a taco truck in the back and selling. Yeah, but that's the same feeling that I had, and ultimately, I'm still early. Almost 3 years in, and my experience has been great. And the great thing about the franchise so far is that, EO is great because we share best practices, we share our wins, share our losses, but we're all in different industries, right? And so, which is helpful.
Yeah.
But on the franchise world, we're all the same. So I kind of, with both of them, I get, 200 people here doing different things, and I have 200 people here doing like the same exact thing. So I love that. And so they speak the same language. When we have issues with our systems, they use it too, so I can ask them easily and get quick fixes.
Sure.
And then the whole idea of a national footprint with a local presence really was attractive to me. You know, when I have clients in San Diego and next year their conference is in Texas, I have that national footprint. I can save money for my clients overall and still provide the same level of quality.
Until you said that, I didn't really think about it. I've been in EO since 2018. And financial services is I'm going to say cookie cutter, but it's not. But each one of us have our own little ways of doing things. But at the end of the day, it's still
how you think is different.
Yeah, how we think is different, but we're all doing the same stuff. and I use stuff and kind of like you with print. It's stuff.
Yeah, right.
And one of the things that's really attracted me heavy with EO is the fact that I'm getting exposure to different trains of thought outside the box that I would have never seen before. So I never really put that into context. Yeah. But no, I appreciate you bringing that up because that's real. Yeah.
Well, that's actually the thing I love about it. But at the same time, I totally get running a franchise is extremely difficult because the whole point is consistency. I mean, the reason why Howard Schultz didn't want a franchise of Starbucks is so he could maintain that consistency, because you typically can't trust potentially that store owner to follow the same rules.
Right.
And if Alpha Graphics is a well-run machine and you are able to communicate with one another in that way, like EO, but have all the same problems.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, all the exact same problems with 200. I see a tremendous value in that as well.
Yeah.
You know, and so you kind of have the best of both worlds. You're dipping toes on both sides, and you can bring that back.
I think so. And, you know, it's not something I sought after. Like, sometimes I meet owners and they're like, yeah, I was sick of my corporate life. I was looking for a franchise, and then I liked Alpha Graphics. That was never my story. I think I've always consistently followed the people. Like, if I felt good about you, I'm gonna invest in you, and I'm gonna become your friend. I'm gonna get to know you, and I'm gonna try my best and spend my energy to spend time with you.
Yeah.
And I think that was true in 2017 with Bob and the small walkthrough that I did, and that was true in 2023.
Let me step back a minute, if you don't mind, guys, because one of the things you said a few minutes ago is, you know, you came from I don't want to say poverty, that's not the right word, but you know, I let's call it the other side of the tracks.
Yeah.
And I come from there too. Okay. And I feel there's value for people that are looking to start a business or like really that they can do it. I would love to know just a little bit about where you come from, where you grew up, where you live. What was your deal?
Yeah. So I'm the child of immigrants, right? So I'm Korean. Both my parents are from Korea, and then my grandparents also, South Korea, just in case you guys are wondering. Okay. Actually, my dad's dad was a refugee from North Korea during like the war and stuff.
Wow.
So that side was crazy. So they migrated to Los Angeles in a small town called Koreatown. Now it's kind of become this cool place, hippie thing to be at. But that's where I grew up, born and raised there. And, you know, I think as I grow older, like there's things that my family shielded from me. And now that I raise my kids, it's not intentional, right? But it comes from a place where you want the best for your child.
Sure.
Right? But I think it was a little bit extreme. My family,
the shielding?
my mom, the shielding.
Okay.
And there was a lot of, you know, untrue things, and they just wanted to protect us and put me in a bubble. That's kind of where it was. So when we first moved to LA, my parents were happy, and then long story short, they got split, they divorced. And then from that point, we would move from place to place, and I didn't know why. But now that I'm older, probably because we couldn't afford rent, and we had to go and live, you know, bounce around. And that's the environment I lived. So when you say I problem solve, I was forced to grow up early. Yeah. Like, you know, there was nobody around. I had my grandparents always lived with me, but they were just a guardian, I would say, just to make sure I had food to eat.
Stability too, right? I mean, it's a constant.
I think you were forced to be scrappy.
Oh yeah.
So, and I think that is where that problem solving really comes.
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So scrappy was because of my family. So then, right around 10, I started playing basketball, and we could have another separate podcast about this, but I really feel that the difference between me and even my siblings, same genetics, same household, is sports. I played basketball just because of like. So as a young immigrant girl, you know, I really had no voice at the table. I just did what they told me to do. I never really had an opinion, and not able to get mad. You know, all this stuff. Just had to stay in my lane, right? And that's the life I lived for 0 to 10. Never asked questions about, like, when they split up, never asked questions. Nobody ever talked about what was going on. And then when I started playing sports, that was like, it was encouraged to be aggressive, to show emotion, to lose, and then it doesn't matter if you win or lose, you're still coming back the next day, and you still have a constant team, right? Everybody's
responsibilities.
Yeah, everybody's like, working towards the same goal at the end. And then you have a coach that whether you like it or not, you have to listen to, right? Like, whether you respect his leadership style or not, you have to listen to. So that kind of training from 10 to 18 really, and then upwards, it was life-changing for me. And I think I carry still a lot of the things I learned from that.
That's great.
To I copy and paste that into my entrepreneurial leadership and my parenting and me being a wife too. A lot of that training was there.
I think where you just nailed that for me, it's the losing part. Like, we all want to win, obviously, but the key is, and I think what is the resilience from losing. So you're getting knocked down, and you got to get back up and do it all over again.
Right, got to be gracious.
You got it. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You got a game tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I lost a lot. I lost a lot. I was always on losing teams, and and I think that's where I started my leadership journey. It was, unrealized at that time because we're all, the same level, whatever. But I loved it. I loved to compete. I loved it, and I wasn't bad, but
those
I was
victories
really
taste
mean.
good.
Yeah,
And those victories taste good,
It's more
though.
fun to win, right? It's more
It's-
fun to win.
I love basketball too, but I'm 5'9", so that was over for me real quick. I was done.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let me ask you, so going back, your childhood taught you that, and you've moved from that. How has this how did that growth affect, let me rephrase the question. Let me start over. What is one of the bigger regrets you've had in your life?
Wow. Regrets? I think not speaking up at a younger age. Like, I think I was a child. I was 6, right? So I look at my daughter now. It's hard to express that, but there were times in my life growing up where I felt like I could have spoken up, asked questions, but I was too afraid.
But at 6, that's getting a little hard on yourself. I'm going to
10,
throw that out
12,
there.
14, still.
Yeah.
I had
Do you
opportunities.
let your daughter? Does your daughter have more of a voice at the table?
I encourage it, but then ultimately she knows I make the decision.
Yeah.
No, but there were, 6 is when kind of my life went downhill with my family, but there were times when I started to get older and...
that's not going to change, man. I'm going to tell you what, I look back at my mother, right, who was great, took care of me, all that. But as I get older, even now, we're talking from 30 to 40 to 50, like, why'd you do that again? Like, why? What was that decision about? And you start to wonder, and then you start to change how you parent based on those things.
Another thing I'll add, so not speaking up, but showing my true self. Because I got into this habit and I became really good at it, whether it was good or not.
Acting.
Yeah, where at home I was this good girl, and then I would go to school and I was this badass jock, right? My mom till this day has never watched me play basketball. It was just my outlet that life gifted to me, and they were not supportive of it. It's probably why I didn't continue to play in college, but I got really good at being one person at home and then being another person amongst my friends, and I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I would have shown my true self. Of course they knew I loved sports, and they knew on weekends I would go play basketball, I would go to the park or whatever, but I think I could have done that, and I think that would have changed some of the relationships that I had with my family, even as an adult today.
Well, with that regret, with you not speaking, what would your childhood self say about you now?
I think she'd be proud of me.
Yeah.
I have completely, over time, become that person where I'm a constant wherever I am.
You're not acting anymore.
Yeah. And I don't have the burden of having to please somebody a certain way and then come back and, be a different person. That's probably why I am truly who I am wherever I go. And it took time. And it's still tough, especially when I go back home to my parents. I mean, we just see the world differently. And instead of trying to fix, right? Because at first I would push back and say, why don't you guys understand where I'm coming from, right? When different views and different decisions. And now I've just accepted, because they, just like I'm, able to have my own opinions, they are too. And their opinions might be different from like the whole immigrant mentality. So.
Yeah, I mean, their set of lenses is going to be a completely different set of lenses.
Yeah,
I mean, they're raised in a completely different environment. That makes sense. I think we all have to work on that, right? At the end of the day, I still work on that to this day, to try to accept my parents for who they are.
Yeah.
And go, but I wouldn't be who I am. It's funny, right? As a parent, we raise our children to the things we can't, the things that we felt we didn't have.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's it's kind of. Now, has Alpha Graphics gotten you to the space that you hoped it would get you to, from the stance of freedom and flexibility and things of that nature?
Oh yeah.
Good.
I'm grateful for this journey and this decision that I made.
Yeah.
It's always a work in progress, but I was determined to go bigger, and I think Alpha Graphics was the right decision for me. The right decision for
What's
me.
next?
Well, by the way, have we missed anything?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I think that I covered a lot of the business stuff. That
Okay.
I don't know what's next. What's next is that I don't want to work until I'm 70 is what's next.
Yeah.
And I do, I love this. I love sharing my story, and I think that there's, we can always go deeper into it. And I want to spend like a good chunk of my life in the near future talking about it and writing about it and inspiring people like me that come from uneducated families and tough times, that they can do it. It's just a mental shift.
Well, and speaking of that, I'll spoiler alert. You mentioned writing. You have a book coming out.
Well, in the near future, I'm working on it. It's nothing is set in stone, but I was joking with Mark earlier, because we were like, oh, let's call it the trophy wife,
Yeah,
because
I've been called the trophy wife.
Yeah, you have.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, though.
Yeah.
I mean, and good for you. That's one of the, it's like they say, vision without action is a dream. Action without vision is a nightmare. And I've had the vision without action of writing a book forever. I can't do it, I shouldn't say can't. It just doesn't become a priority. So I think that's really
cool
that, if you can make that happen, I would love to read that.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it's a great title, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
What's one of the most embarrassing things that has happened to you from learning in the hard way in business?
Embarrassing.
We won't tell anybody.
Yeah. This isn't being recorded. Are we on?
Embarrassing? I don't know that every moment that I don't know that there's so much embarrassing, because I come from a blank slate.
Okay.
It's not something that I was good at and then I missed. I will say there have been plenty of times where I think it's common here in EL, where you have this great client, they're asking for a lot of things, you say yes, 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 and then you turn around and you're like, now I got to figure out how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Right? There have been that, and a lot of times they were successful, but sometimes they didn't work out or pan out, and I have to
Deep crow on that,
yeah. I have to be the one breaking the news to them. Like, I know I
made
promised you all this.
I made some promises I can't connect on.
Yeah. And I've learned through that too. Like, sometimes it's okay to say no, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it challenges my team now that I have today to figure it out. That's one of our core values in business. Figure it out. Stems true to my heart, because I've figured out life until today. Embarrassing? I don't. Everything is embarrassing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Are there any misconceptions people have about you, or do people misconceive you in any way?
I think they think I would say, kind of come off tough and, it's not a misconception, discipline and like white and black, but I do have a soft side to me, but when it comes to work, I mean, it just needs to get done. Let's just get it done. But I think if you were to ask my team, I think that they would say that I would be a little bit tough, on the outside. But I am a loving person.
Yeah.
I want you guys to know.
Yeah.
I'm a loving person.
I mean, I remember going through conversations with you when you had to get rid of somebody.
Yeah.
And I remember just the actual inner turmoil that you had about that. She's like, she's got a family. And I know it's in there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll kind of